Every person who has ever lived leaves behind a small piece of themselves in the story of the earth, whether through kindness, struggle, love, or the simple act of surviving another difficult day. The earth remembers generations through the cities they built, the trees they planted, the roads they walked, and the memories they carried deep within their hearts. Every laugh shared between friends, every tear cried in silence, and every dream whispered into the night becomes a part of humanity's endless journey across time. Long before we arrived here, countless people stood beneath the same sky wondering about life, searching for meaning and hoping tomorrow would bring peace. And like people have their stories have been very similar. They've had dreams and ambitions and just inspirations from the things that they saw, the things around them, and we continue to be that way. So if you looked back, you would be surprised about how many similarities there were between you and someone from the past, someone from way back in the day. The mountains, rivers, forests, and the oceans have witnessed millions of human stories unfold. Literally. Every person carries struggles nobody else fully understands, but those struggles still become part of the Earth's ongoing story of resilience and survival. Even the quietest person changes the world in small ways, because every action, every word, and every moment leaves a ripple behind. And, we leave an imprint on this universe when we go through time and we go through our journeys. And, it's a really special thing how connected we all are. And I really do mention that a lot, and hanging on to hope and stuff like that, because it's really important. But the Earth has carried humanity through war, through heartbreak, celebration, and rebirth, continuing forward no matter how heavy history becomes. Every generation adds another chapter to the human story, building upon sacrifices, mistakes, and victories of those who came before them. And, somewhere in the future, people will walk the same ground we walk today, never fully knowing the stories that once unfolded here. And, the rain that falls today is the same water being cycled that went back for, tons of different generations. And that same rain touched ancient civilizations. It crossed the oceans, and it moved through the lives of people long forgotten by history. And I think that's really cool. We are no stranger here. And, every person matters because every life adds emotion, experience, and meaning to the collective story of humanity itself. And some people leave behind monuments and fame, while others leave behind simple memories that live forever in the hearts of loved ones. The earth continues spinning through every generation, quietly carrying billions of stories at once beneath the same endless sky. And every scar someone carries tells a story about survival. It tells a story about growth. It tells a story about pain. And, it tells about the strength that it actually took to continue moving forward for people from thousands of years ago to people today. We all share the same struggles that we've gone through throughout history, and it's really neat to know that you're not alone in your struggles, because everyone faces struggle in their life. My nephew was wearing a shirt, and I've mentioned this before, but it said everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about, and that is so true. And back then, dude, when the saber-toothed tigers were around, people had struggles then. In the 1920s, people had struggles. They had struggles when they were developing the car. You can literally create something huge, but you're going to have struggle on your way. And that's just a part of existence. Humanity has always searched for connection because deep down, we understand that no person truly walks through life alone. Every person born into this world becomes a part of an ancient cycle of life, an ancient cycle of loss, of hope, and renewal that stretches across all of history. The oceans have seen explorers searching for new lands, families crossing impossible distances, and dreamers chasing better futures beyond the horizon. Every heartbeat is proof that someone is still fighting to exist within the vast story of the earth and the universe itself. And some stories are filled with triumph, while others are filled with hardship, but together they form the emotional history of humanity. And the earth does not separate people by wealth, status, or power, because eventually every human returns to the same soil. And, you know, every child born into the world carries new possibilities that could shape the future in ways nobody can yet imagine. And, you know, human beings have always searched for meaning in the stars because we instinctively feel connected to something greater than ourselves. And, you know, I think we really need to hold on to that connection because with that, we feel more grounded. And honestly, if you know that you're going to return to the earth and become one with the trees again, and possibly even pass on to an afterlife, it makes the end less scary, you know? So really hold on to that feeling of connection because it's important to have that. And every sunset witnessed by human eyes becomes another shared moment between people. My mom, whenever she sees something beautiful, when she's outside or just walking or something like that, she'll take pictures and, you know, she'll send me those pictures, and it's a beautiful thing that we can share those moments together. I remember going to see the supermoon with my kid, and, you know, it was a beautiful experience. Even during humanity's darkest moments, people have continued finding ways to love, create, and hope for better days ahead, you know? They always find a way, you know, and we always find a way, and it's a beautiful thing. And every act of kindness becomes part of the Earth's story, proving compassion can survive even in difficult times. The forests have heard ancient conversations, they've heard silent prayers, and countless footsteps from people searching for peace within nature. Every generation feels different challenges, yet or faces different challenges. Yet the human spirit continues adapting, surviving, and pushing forward through uncertainty. And the story of the Earth is not written by just one of us. You know, we all share in this experience together, billions of lives. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this one. I really do appreciate you guys. And I love making these videos. I'm slowing down on the long forms a little bit, just to prevent burnout and stuff like that. And, you know, I don't want to tire my voice out. But, yeah, I really appreciate you guys so much for making this a good experience, and I'll see you in the next one.